Hello everyone, today I wanted to talk about a couple of words that are used a lot in LGBT community. The words that are used interchangeably and often wrongfully so. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with the differences between homosexuality and homosexualism. It's really interesting because I haven't read anything about it in English media, and when I started Googling it purposefully, nothing would come up. But reading Russian and Ukrainian LGBT blogs and journals, it is given a clear definition and clear distinction between what the two words represent. The term homosexualism, just like the term lesbianism, inherently always had a negative connotation to it. You can see these words popping up quite a lot in different research papers and medical journals until the early 1970s. This is because back then, the word homosexualism represented a mental illness, a psychological disorder whereby you are attracted to people of your own sex or something you chose as a lifestyle, something you chose to follow, like smoking cigarettes instead of doing sports, as an alternative to traditional family values. Homosexuality, on the other hand, has a bit of a different meaning and wasn't really used by the general population or in research papers until the early 1980s. Because it wasn't until 1973 that American Psychiatric Association removed homosexualism from the list of the official mental disorders. So therefore, homosexuality, although quite similar, has a much more positive connotation to it. The sexuality bit and the end of that word is really important because it automatically implies that it has to do with a person's, sexuality. Something you're born with and have very little control over consciously, rather than something you choose. It also takes away that negative meaning of it being a mental disorder, but rather promotes it as this positive idea of the fact that there are straight and gay people, and it's just something that we have to learn to live with. If you look at Google Trends, which tracks what people search in Google, you can see how in the mid-2000s homosexualism was searched in the US a lot more than it is now, and that homosexuality is a much more popular term. Unfortunately, you can't see the data before that, but I would predict that homosexuality would be searched a lot less and homosexualism would be searched a lot more in the 1990s. You can also see that the top 5 states googling homosexualism are one of the most homophobic states in the US, like Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Kentucky, which only reinforces the fact that there is a negative meaning behind this word. Just the last thing I wanted to mention, in 2013 there has been a very controversial law passed on in Russia called gay propaganda law, which prohibits exposure of minors towards LGBT existence whatsoever. That means banning public display of affection of same-sex couples. That means banning LGBT literature. That means totally banning gay prides, because obviously they can be watched by teenagers who are minors. If you've never heard of it, I made a video. It was the first video I ever made. Just click the info card here in the top right corner. You'll be able to watch it. But I found it very interesting how in Western countries they call it gay propaganda law, because in Russia they call it a ban on homosexualism propaganda. It doesn't translate very well, but Russians purposefully use this word, homosexualism, to sway public opinion to be less favorable of LGBT community. Because people googling homosexualism in Russia, or if even trying to read different books, will inevitably find that homosexualism is a mental disorder in humans, rather than homosexuality, which is a perfectly normal thing that happens across a lot of different species quite often. So yeah guys, I think that's about it for the video. It's already been quite long given that we're just discussing the meaning of two words. But essentially homosexuality and homosexualism are two different things. Homosexualism is an illness that psychotherapists thought gay people had before, and it was treated with gay conversion therapy, as a lot of you might know. Whereas homosexuality is part of a person's identity where they like people of same sex. So make sure you use homosexuality rather than homosexualism When you talk to people who might not be familiar with such terminology, or someone who might be outside of LGBT community, because it can make a huge difference on how they actually perceive gay people in the future. I hope you liked this video. If you learned something new, I'd appreciate it if you gave me a like. Follow my channel because I make weekly videos on weekends for LGBT community. And follow me on Instagram, sashalivesinengland. The link will be in the description below. Just to see my day-to-day life, or you can DM me. Almost 100% of the time I always reply. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.